in this box is a gaming laptop that costs less than $1,000. Before tax, but yeah, it costs $960, and for that you can get some Asus Republic of Gamers action, it's very good for EP. You know, the ladies love nothing more than a dude whipping out some ROG. But anyway, I am really interested to see what kind of gaming experience you get from a laptop in this price point, because I think it's a very reasonable price to pay for a gaming laptop if it's any good. So let's crack it open and see what's what. It kind of pops the laptop out when you open the box. It's quite nice. Ooh, it's hefty. And then under here we have the popper outer mechanism and a relatively small power brick rated for 200 watts. Now on the bottom of the laptop, you've got some nice little grip footies, which also help lift the laptop off of its ventilation. It's also got some very cool bits of marketing text printed on the footies for some reason. The actual ventilation seems like there's a reasonable amount of it, although not all of it's real. A bunch of it's this kind of ventilation effect. But anyway, that's a reasonably sexy laptop undercarriage. Let's flip it around. First impressions are good. The laptop manages to hint at its gaming pedigree without looking like something designed by a 13-year-old on a sugar bender. The construction uses a nice variety of materials, ranging from metal on the lid to reasonable feeling plastics on the inside, and there's even some soft touch rubber. In terms of I/O, most of it is hidden around the back, which I think is the best place for it. There's also a bunch of ventilation all over the place, which should be good for temperatures. And then finally, you have an additional 2 square USB ports on the left-hand side of the laptop, which again is a great place for it, so that if you have a bunch of stuff plugged in there, you don't keep bumping your mouse on it while gaming, which is a surprisingly common problem. We also need to see if it passes the all-important one-hand open test. It actually does! That's pretty impressive! Flipping open the laptop, you're greeted by a nice solid keyboard that forgoes a numpad for a selection of media keys, which I like, but that's definitely personal preference. And you also get a large comfy trackpad and some thin bezels around the display. So thin in fact that you don't get a webcam, which may definitely be a deal breaker for some of you. The display is a 15.6-inch IPS-ish panel, I guess is what that means, that has a 144Hz refresh rate for that smooth gameplay. But anyway, with that, let's crack open the laptop to see what kind of cooling we're working with and what kind of upgradability options we have. There are quite a lot of screws going on here. There seems to be 11. Ooh, that all feels... I don't like the sound of any of that. The problem here is that the bottom panel that you need to remove to get access to its insides, it's like all of the base of the laptop and most of the side of it as well. So you have to remove the plastic around all of the I/O and everything, as opposed to other laptops that'll just have like an upgrade glory hole, you know. This definitely does not have that, which is a big naughty no-no in terms of laptop design. Oh, there we go. Oh, we've got it. But this is definitely one of those laptops where once you break its opening virginity, it's never quite the same again. We've made a bit more progress, but no, I'm gonna reassemble it and then I'm gonna test it, because this is the kind of situation that you like break USB ports and stuff in. So I'm gonna finish testing it and then I'll break it. That is a major disappointment because of certain issues with the specs of this laptop, which I guess makes this a good time to talk about the specs before we fire it up and try and do some gaming on it. The specs of this ROG is quite interesting. The CPU is a Ryzen 5 5600H that's been paired with a single 8GB stick of RAM. Ugh. That is why the upgradability is so important for this device, so that you can fix that heinous RAM configuration. But we'll find out how mobile Ryzen responds to single channel RAM later in the video. Anyway, in terms of the graphics card, we have an Nvidia RTX 3050 in here, which is also an interesting GPU. Nvidia totally thought it wouldn't be a terrible idea to have several versions of the GPU with different power draw and performance figures, all with the exact same name so that you didn't know which version you were getting. If only there was some kind of special designation that they could give to lower wattage versions of the GPU, but I know that would just be madness. In that vein, I don't know which version of the 3050 we have in the laptop, but I guess we'll find that out together. So with that, let's fire it up. Oh, wait, they've got an angled connector for a port that goes in the back. That's pretty stupid. Ooh, it's quite a loud stock background. But anyway, let's see what the VD situation looks like. Straight off the bat, we have Armory Crate, which is quite a malicious bit of VD. But anyway, it is an Asus device, so it makes sense that it has that on it. And then we have McAfee on there, which is always exciting to see pre-installed on a system. My Asus, and other than that, it's looking not too bad. I mean, this is not going super well. What is happening? Why is the GPU sitting at like 40% utilization? Oh, it was only on performance by default. Let's put it up to turbo and see if that helps. I mean, it's led to a considerable performance improvement, but we've still got a very low GPU utilization. Is there like VSync on or something? What is happening here? So the only reason I can think why we're not getting full utilization on the GPU is because of the single channel memory configuration? Yeah, okay, let's try a different game and see if we have the same problem. Next, we're doing Battlefield 5. This is a 1080p medium settings, and again, our GPU utilization is pretty low and weird. I'm guessing we have a bit of a bottleneck going on in the system. Like, the GPU's core frequency is boosting quite aggressively, and the performance is definitely promising, so it's a shame that there's something weird going on here. Fortnite with 1080p competitive settings is... it's playable, you know, it's running, although, again, we have that same problem where the GPU really isn't doing much. So with that, let's try and rip open the laptop again to see if changing the RAM makes any difference to this weird performance. Oh, okay. Okay, there's another casualty, another little clip that's broken, and that's one of the reasons why once you've opened a device like this, it's just never the same again, you know? There we go. Come on. Oh! Oh! Okay, I think we're open. Yes, like I said, little ribbon cables that we need to deal with because of the RGB. Okay, then you can see there's just a little clip that you lift up and then you can slide it out of the way. So let's place our bets, people. Do we think that the RAM is going to be soldered to the motherboard? I think there's a good chance of that, but let's see. It is not soldered down. Would you look at that? And then down here, we have some quite sexy internals for a laptop at this price point. Now, the coolers are actually liquid metalled to the device, which is pretty cool, and I think that's one of the reasons why the temperatures are so good. And then other than that, we have our RAM under here with an additional M.2 slot, which I like. I really like that option. Oh, that's really cool. So the speaker modules are actually placed on these like little rubber rings to isolate them from the body of the laptop. I like that. That's awesome. A quick note on upgrading the RAM in these laptops. Ryzen laptops are relatively picky when it comes to memory kits, so make sure that you get a 1.2 volt 3200 MHz kit. If you get a 1.35 volt kit, it'll only run at a paltry 2666 MHz. So I got this G-Skill Ripjaws kit. One of these sticks should be fine with the RAM in the laptop. Oh, nice. With the upgrade done, let's put that bottom lip back on and hope that the laptop still feels young and supple. It shouts at you every time it starts up. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd say it's running a little bit better. Yes, this is better. It's still not perfect, but at least This is a very solid gaming experience that utilizes the higher refresh rate display at 1080p. And now it is a just very solid gaming experience at 1080p medium settings. Now I have been playing Battlefield 5 for about 20 minutes here, and the temperatures are higher than they were before, but they're still very much under control. Like 80C and 70C for a laptop is pretty decent, and the noise isn't too bad either. So yeah, a much more solid showing now. And another thing that's clear now is that we have the full power version of the 3050 in here, which is nice. Yeah, that's pretty wild how much of a difference the RAM configuration makes in here. Now that we've fixed the terrible gaming performance, I thought it would be interesting to see if we could actually do some ray tracing on this laptop, considering that it's got some RTX in it. No, it can't really. It's going better than I was expecting, but no, it can't. Now, in all seriousness, ray tracing is definitely not the RTX feature that we're interested in for a hardware configuration like this. I think DLSS is a lot more compelling. So I tested it using Control, running at 1080p high settings. If you set the render resolution down to 720p with DLSS, it made a big performance difference. In fact, you could run Control with high settings and ray tracing on and still get 60 frames per second with this little laptop, which I think is really cool, and DLSS is a useful feature for a device like this. After spending some time with this laptop, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, I do like it because it does a lot right. The display, while definitely not being good enough for color sensitive work, the colors are okay for gaming, and the high refresh rate-ness of it is nice. The ergonomics definitely stand out as being the best part of the laptop for me. The speakers are fine. They're not amazing, but they're perfectly usable. Actually, on that note, the headphone jack does work very well. I tested it using my Drop HD58Xs, which aren't the hardest headphones to drive in the world, but with an impedance of 150 ohms, they're not super easy to drive either. With the volume set to 26%, the headphones were almost too loud, and there was no like unwanted distortion or like hissing in the background, which means that you could use this pairing to do permanent hearing damage to yourself and it would still sound nice and crisp. Thermals and noise are also very good. This laptop definitely doesn't suffer from laptop spontaneous combustion syndrome, so that's a huge plus in my book. The gaming performance at 1080p is also very solid once you upgrade the RAM configuration, which if you're buying this laptop, that is an absolute minimum requirement. You have to replace that horrendous RAM configuration, otherwise you're not getting the majority of the gaming performance that you're paying for. Which brings me to my major complaint with this laptop. It is way too difficult to get the back off in order to upgrade a glaring hardware configuration problem with it. Now I know a lot of you are going to go into the comment section and say, David, you're just useless. I would have no problem opening this laptop without breaking any of the clips, and it won't feel like I'm punching a small child in the face. And what I have to say to that is, I may be useless, but I am willing to bet that 99% of people who are going to buy one of these laptops are going to be worse at opening devices than I am, and it's not something that you want to do. You don't want to feel like you're savaging apart a brand new device that you just spent a whole bunch of money on. So my point is just that this laptop really needs a glory hole. And I think on that note, I'm going to end the video. So let me know in the comment section down below if you think I'm being too much of a baby about how breaky it feels to open this device. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to do a follow-up video where I compare this laptop to that cheapest Alienware system that I recently bought. Because in terms of price, they're quite similar, and I think it may be a closer fight than you're expecting. And with that, thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, bye-bye.